Most High God. The Most High God comes first. I'm on the move right now. I got to get out there. This stream is brought to you by LIVE products. LIVE, Live Now, we're live now. We have a range of products from drinks to punches to cleaning products. LIVE, Live Now, we're live now. I want to spend a little time with you guys talking about several things. Start off with something that came out on. There's a lot of new news concerning the MCU, concerning the DCU. Okay, but I want to start off first with a statement that I believe it's a gun fan said that children should be scared of Batman, and then he presented a comic that showed Batman hugging a child or something like that. And I like this because this is a good conversation to have. It's not just children shouldn't be scared of Batman generally speaking, but people shouldn't be scared of Batman generally speaking. Batman's not there to scare people. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. So anyway, Gun Gooner Cringe, he said, here's Batman, right? And he shows Batman here perched on a ledge. We see Batman here in some kind of comic. I don't know what comic this is. Looks like a pretty recent comic where John Constantine, he gets up and there's a kid who's hostage there. Batman comes to save the kid, and the kid is saying, stay away, stay away. But that's, I think, because Batman accosted Constantine. He did something to Constantine. I'm not sure exactly what happened. And so Constantine saves the child and calls Batman a freak. Okay, fine. But I think this is not typical Batman. Okay, and I'll show you why I say that. I know, see, the problem with people sometimes when they're arguing things and making arguments and trying to justify Batman a certain way is that they go out of their way to create a persona about Batman that's not Batman. Okay? Batman goes after criminals. Batman seeks justice. Batman's not somebody who tries to terrorize everyone. He's not there to terrorize anyone. Batman's there to terrorize criminals. Oh, for sure. He's trying to be a deterrent to criminals committing crime. Don't get it twisted. Just as how they terrorized him when they killed his parents, he looks to terrorize them. Okay? Batman's against criminals. But so that's the most important point you have to understand about Batman. Okay? He's not against normal civilians. He's not trying to terrorize or create fear in civilians. Okay? In BVS, it sort of kind of crossed the line where some civilians believed that now you have to be afraid of Batman. Okay? But even in BVS, the lady who was renting with her little son, she said, Batman, you don't need to be afraid of Batman. He is only danger to the people who he should be a danger to. Okay? Meaning, the people who are scared of him need to be scared of him. The criminals. Not the petty criminals, but all criminals. Particularly the worst ones. Okay, so I decided to respond to this. And I choose to highlight this because I think a lot of people misunderstand Batman. Okay? Batman saves and protects defenseless children. He seeks to scare criminals. In The Dark Knight Returns, he saves a child hostage, and he also saves Carrie Kelly, who I believe was still a child. She may have been a teenager, but she was a child, in the abandoned circus sphere. And I'll just show you the both excerpts here. This is a child who was kidnapped and held hostage. The mutant or the mutant gang member, who is probably a teenager, so he's probably a child too. He kills his partner, who was partner in the abduction, because he panics. He doesn't know where Batman is, so he starts spraying the gun all over the place. Batman busts through the wall, grabs the mutant and the gun, and the female mutant who is holding the child, she says, "Back off, man, I'll kill the kid. Believe me, man, I will." And Batman is watching at her. You see his eyes there over the mutant. And she says, "Believe me." And he fires his gun. In so doing, he pretty much kills the female mutant. The child falls, and he grabs the child and hugs the child. So here, right here, you see Batman doesn't try to scare children. Look at the child clings to him, by the way. And he says, "I believe you." But in the process of doing so, he also kills one teenager, right? And then he goes on to interrogate the other one, okay? Because the mutants are teenagers. I think they're very young. They're either young adults or teenagers, okay? So if you're a child and you commit heinous crimes, you're going to be afraid of Batman, okay? However, if you have nothing to do with any crimes, you're just a civilian, you're a child, he may more than likely save you if you're kidnapped or something, you see? Like this little kidnapped child here. So it's very important for people to understand that children are not going to be afraid of Batman. Children will see Batman and like him because more than likely they're not involved in any crimes. And so as a result of that, they're not going to they'll see him as a hero, like a Zorro. Okay, Batman's like a Zorro to them, but to the criminals, he's like a horror movie coming at you. Okay, more than likely, he's not going to kill the criminal, but he's going to scare the living daylights out of them. I can guarantee you that. And he ain't going to break some stuff. That's Batman. Okay. Now, Cinehouse, he came and he said, "Dear Warner Brothers, you got your happy, non-scary Batman, remember? He flopped at the box office." Now, again, Cinehouse here is talking about something else. It's a different discussion of whether Batman is scary or not. And I do believe, to some degree, the person who started this argument, which is that, Batman doesn't scare children, I think the argument goes further to say, okay, well, kids watching a Batman movie or animation or reading a Batman comic shouldn't be scared by Batman. I guess that can be extended. In this case, Cinehouse can address that, saying a non-scary Batman. Now, there has been a non-scary Batman on the screens. So there's a version of Batman that's non-scary. We can think of Super Friends. We can think of Batman 1966. Okay, we can think of Batman and Robin. These are all non-scary versions of Batman. We can think of Justice League 2017, where he's not a scary version of Batman. So there are non-scary versions of Batman. Okay, let's be balanced. Now, how have they done in cinema? The only non-scary version of Batman I know of that was wacky, and I think of him as a parody of Batman. I don't really think of him as Batman, as how, Bob Finger, and Bill Finger and Bob Kane wrote him. Batman originally was written as a scary figure, okay? As someone who kind of works on the outskirts of the law, a vigilante, okay? That's how Bill Finger and Bob Kane wrote him. But having said that, there has been a version of Batman that has been non-scary, okay? How successful has it been? Has that version been in the box office? Since 1966, really, we haven't had a version of Batman like that, which has been successful at the box office. It just hasn't happened. Particularly after Tim Burton's Batman in 1989, that version of Batman just does not fly anymore. People like the darker, scarier version of Batman. The Batman that means business. It's going to get justice. That's a vigilante. That's scaring criminals, Who quotes a famous line from Batman 1980. I'm Batman. Tell your friends about me. Soft-spoken kind of Batman, but still scary, kind of freaky, And Batman's always been kind of like a freak, actually. It's kind of been freaky, Batman's kind of freaky. I mean, who in their right mind dresses up like a bat? You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like a vampire, but a vampire against criminals, it's creepy. He's supposed to be creepy. He's kind of like Batman is in kind of a way like a horror movie for villains. He's like that horror movie villain for villains. He's like a villain for villains, actually. He's a villain's villain. There you go. That's what Batman is, That's how I see Batman anyway. The quintessential Batman. So, but he just doesn't kill the villains, but he will, he'll torture them. Batman has no problem torturing a villain. That's the thing about Batman. That's what makes him sort of stride across the line of being an evil person, because he doesn't, his modus operandi is not to kill people. But he'll make you suffer. He tries to deter you from ever. If he knows he can break all your limbs so you don't never walk again, you're paralyzed for the rest of your life. So that's one less criminal walking the streets. He'll do it. That's Batman. So yeah, I thought I'd share that with you guys. I think it's a very important thing to understand. Now, I get where Sinner House is coming from, by the way, and several other people made this comment that Batman's not a wuss, and he's not this guy who's the butt of all jokes. He's not that. And what Warner Brothers has allowed directors like Joss Whedon, like James Gunn to do is mock the character. And remember, these guys come from the MCU, so their allegiance is more to the MCU. Besides that, MCU is kind of lighter anyway. But you never seen them mock Iron Man. Have you ever seen the MCU mock Iron Man? So why are you mocking Batman? They don't mock Captain America. So why would you mock Superman? You see what I'm saying? So you see that the MCU revers certain characters. They make fun of other characters, but they revere certain characters because they know that's where their foundation is. They're building around these characters. And James Gunn and Joss Whedon, they decided to poke fun at the characters. And everything that James Gunn and Joss Whedon do shows us that they don't like DC. They don't like the fandom. You get what I'm saying? Even Warner Brothers, the decisions they made of late, and even the film that Andy Muschietti was doing, there isn't that love for the character because there's no reverence for that character because they don't understand the character. They say Zack Snyder doesn't get characters. He doesn't understand it. Oh, he definitely understands Batman. Zack understands Batman so well that the creator of The Dark Knight Returns, help me with his name. I can't remember his name. You guys can probably leave a comment on that if you can. I can't remember his name for nothing right now. I don't know why. Frank Miller. There you go. Frank Miller appreciates the dedication Zack has to his graphic novels. When he looked at how dedicated Zack was with 300, and he looked at how dedicated Zack was with The Dark Knight Returns and how the depiction of Batman was conveyed on the screen. And whereas, the quintessential animated Batman, Kevin Conroy, God rest his soul, he criticized, Ben's killing in the Batman v Superman. Frank Miller had nothing but praise for Ben's depiction of Batman. He said he was rooting for Batman to win because he understands, and quite frankly, he had his Batman killed as well. He had the appreciation that Ben got what Batman was and what Batman originally was supposed to be. See, the thing about it is, right, that there was this sort of, what do we call it? Licensing board, sort of like that caused Batman to be dialed back. caused Batman not to use guns, caused Batman not to make it his MO to kill people, you know. They sort of, I forget what they call them. It's like a census board kind of thing, you know. Anyway, the point is that so Batman was dialed back. But the original Batman, the Batman that Bill Finger and Bob Kane came up with, he was a dark figure. You know, he was built off of, yes, Zorro, but he was also built off of the Shadow. You know, this was the kind of character we're talking about, right? Lurks in the shadows, always moving through the night. That was Batman. Okay, he was a weird figure. Literally, I'm quoting the very first Batman comic. A weird figure moving through the night. He was supposed to be kind of like a horror movie kind of slash Pulp Fiction graphic novel. You know, that's what they were going for. They were going for a character you had to take seriously and that you feared, especially criminals, you know. And he was a vigilante. He didn't really work with the law. If the law caught him, you know, he would be arrested. You know, this was Batman. So if you, again, a sense of history is very important. And what was the intentions of the original people who made the character? And then you can look at the evolution as it goes along. But if you don't have a sense of history and you keep on talking to me, that's not canon and that's not canon like a moron, you can't understand the character. Okay, and you can't, like Scott Snyder and all these other guys, you can't decide, okay, we're going to bring this back and this is going to be canon, or we're going to take this away and we're going to because it's also Batman evolved with the different times, with the changing times. Batman evolved. You see, he evolved with the zeitgeist. He evolved with the pop culture. He evolved with the society. That's why he's relevant today. That's why these characters are able to go on and on and on. If you're fixated on one thing and you are inflexible on one thing that is not typically what Batman is characterized as anyway, you are going to be left behind. You are going to stay in a time warp. Because that's another thing about comic book characters. They evolve. And the MCU shows you that. Captain America, the first Avenger, started off with the comic accurate costume. And when has Captain America, the first Avenger, wore that original costume ever again? No other movie. He's never done it again, right? The character evolves and people go with that. It's the same thing for Superman. It's the same thing for Batman. Same thing for Wonder Woman. These characters evolve with the times. You know, now they try to push the social justice warrior, you know, woke stuff on these characters, making them gay and bisexual and all kinds of shit, right? And if the zeitgeist rejects that, if the society rejects that, it's not in a line with the society, and that's why the character can die off. So they keep on putting out comic books, and this has happened over time, many decades, right? They put out comic books. Sometimes the comic books don't vibe with the zeitgeist, and they have to remove those comics, and they put back other comics. And this is how they do it. They keep on touch and go, right? You don't determine the zeitgeist determines the zeitgeist, right? So that's what has happened. And now what we have is another battle between the nostalgic people who maybe like Batman 1966 or something, or people who say, oh no, we want the kiddies to go see this movie. The kiddies can go see Zack Snyder's Justice League. The kiddies can go see Batman v Superman, but it's more adult themed. But nevertheless, if you parents sit down with your children and talk with them about the movies, you will help them to grow as people, one, and two, you will be able to see what is going on in their little heads and their little minds. Because there's a lot of things that's going to go over their heads, but whatever resonates within them, you have to take the time now to flush it out within them. Help them to grow as individuals, help them to understand how this relates to friends and people, because these comic book heroes are supposed to show us in some ways who we are, reflect who we are, and therefore help us to be able to navigate through life, treating other people, you know, with a certain dignity, honor, and respect that is deserved of them. Right? So that's what it's all about. So ultimately, in the end, when if any children watch Joker, for example, you should see that cruelty in a society to people who are seen as lesser affects how people's lives are shaped. Right? So there is a theme going through that thing, and it's up to you, it's up to me as older citizens to guide the younger generations in the way they should go. They don't have the experience we have of life. That's the difference. Sometimes movies need to be addressed to the older generation so that they can have talking points to talk with the younger generation. And I'm not saying it's a one-way street. Sometimes the younger people, children, say some very insightful things that are very obvious, but just we as adults, we either avoid it or we try to cover it up and hide it, right? And children will say the most, some of the most funny things, but insightful things. And that's why you want the children involved in the conversation. An adult themed story doesn't necessarily mean it's only for adults. Kids can watch it, but you have to understand, like if it's restricted, that is adult language and so on and content, and you want to expose a child to that, you have to bear in mind this, and then you have to have the conversation with them. You see, the thing about adult movies, which are not present in PG-13 movies and PG movies, is adult oversight. The adults must be there. It forces you to parent. Whereas PG-13 and PG movies, the kids can go with their friends and stuff. And therefore, the more dangerous movies, in my opinion, are the PG-13 movies when it comes to comic book movies. I'm not talking about any other genre. The PG-13 movies, particularly the PG-13 movies, because sometimes there is a level of violence in these movies. Sometimes there is a level of violation of human rights and demonization of people where there should be a discussion between parents and children about this. I say parents, not teachers, not other adults, talking to but parents literally sitting down with the kids. And this is a moment of parenting where you're able to identify certain things as a parent and as an adult that these children have seen on the screen that needs to be brought to their attention so that they know this is the movies and this is not reality. This is not what you just saw there is not reality. Furthermore, this is racist that happened in that movie. And these people are not necessarily that stereotype. These are very important conversations to have. Very important conversations to have. And that's why I like rated R movies, because rated R movies, comic book movies particularly, take, for instance, Deadpool and the Wolverine, which is an extremely filthy movie when it comes to cursing, right? Children go see that movie, but they have to be supervised so that the parents now can, after the children finish laughing and stuff, they can tell the children, now listen, that is not a way to speak to someone in the real world. I hear a lot of kids. I had to correct a kid yesterday when I was out selling. That kid was saying so much filth out of her mouth. She was cursing. This is an elementary school kid, okay? Young girl. And she's cursing. And I turned to her after she purchased the stuff from me, and I said, that's not you. You've been raised better than that. How you let that stuff come out of your mouth? Now, I as an adult person, I said, now, me personally, I'm guilty of doing the same thing you're doing. She laughed, but I'm not proud of it. I get very ashamed when I do something like that because that's not the way to conduct yourself and treat other people, cursing them out and stuff like that. That's not cool. So she sobered up and she started speaking properly. And what's the interesting thing? This child has such great, her parents did a great job in terms of values. So I asked if what she was doing was right, and she said no. And I said to her, why are you doing that then? Don't do that. Don't do that. That's terrible. That's not you, right? I, as an older person, I'm there. What we as the older generation, I'm not saying we need to lord it over children. I don't say we need to boof them, beat them, stuff. But sometimes you have to boof them. Sometimes you have to beat them. But I'm not saying that. I'm just saying as an adult person, we are there to guide the younger generation. They still have to do what they have to do. They have to make the choices on their own. Okay. We're just there to help them reflect, to think a little bit more, because the younger generation is so impulsive at times, and they just do things. And just because you've seen people cursing on the screen doesn't mean you personally have to curse in real life. And I think a lot of times some of us emulate certain things that we wanted to do, or maybe we were not free to do, whatever, and we just break loose with it, right? Just because a character is cursing on the screen doesn't mean you have to go and curse on the screen, even if you admire the character that's cursing on the screen. That character and you are two different people, and we are living in two different realities. And no matter how frustrated that character is and cursed doesn't mean that you have to do the same. And these are very important things children need to know early in their lives. In living in the real world, in dealing with real people where you're building real relationships, certain things just are not productive. So I just wanted to say those things before we get into what we're going to talk about here. And I'm going to just let the videos do the talking most of the time. But at the same time, I'm just saying that, you know, it's important for us as people and as individuals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to be more proactive in life. What I mean by that, I don't mean it in terms of like an activist or something, but I just mean in our own communities with people around us. Don't be afraid as an older person to speak to younger people. I know a lot of younger people have a lot of information. A lot of younger people are actually way more advanced than us, the older generation. We're like, they're like 2.0s, 3.0s, 4.0s. They're sharp, they're fast, they're snappy. You know, there's a lot going for them. And I think they even have a better sense of morality than we do. A lot of them. So I'm hoping that Gen Z, I'm hoping that, you know, the generation before that, the millennials, not so much. But anyway, I hope that the millennials and Gen Z carry that torch strong and hard. They're fearless, you know, sometimes too fearless. But I thank God for being able to see the opportunity to see this next generation. And it's up to us to guide them. We're not there to micromanage them. We're not there to force them to do X, Y, and Z, but we're there to guide them. We have the experience, and some of the stuff that we say, they're going to correct us and they're going to be able to help us. It's a dialogue, you know, at a certain age. You know, when you reach the teenagers and stuff and they want their independence, you got to give them that ability to choose. But if you didn't set the foundation for them, like Jonathan and Martha can't set the foundation for Clark. If you don't show them love and care and know that they have a support behind them, that we can't just badmouth the next generation. We can't just beat them down into the ground. You understand what I'm saying? Because they can teach us something at the same time. It's a dialogue. But even though it's a dialogue, sometimes we have to be firm. Sometimes we have to correct them. You know, as older generations, we have to do that to let them know the seriousness of the situation. You know, although I'm not pro corporal punishment of children, there is a time when you need to smack them, hit them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to, especially depending on which personality you're dealing with, so they know you mean business. You know. So I say all of this not just I'm saying that, you know, these people, they want, you know, a friendly Batman, a Batman that's friendly to kids and hugging them and all this bullshit. Listen, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound controversial, but I don't care. Children don't need you to be their friend if you're a parent. You hear me? I want you to hear me loud and clear. I love my mother so much for following this. They don't need you to be their friend. If you really want to be their friend, then you have to not be their friend. Listen to me carefully. You are not their friend. You are their parent. And I know that's a hard thing for a lot of people to hear. We want to be friends. No, don't strive to be friends. If you end up being friends, that's cool. But you're not there to be a friend. You're there to be a parent. That's for parents. Stop this buddy, friend thing where you're trying to please them. Stop doing that. You were here first. You gave birth to them. They came from you. You've been around longer than them. You're supposed to guide them. If they end up being your friends, great. They don't have to be your friends, though. Okay? You are a parent. It's just like a school teacher. Eventually, they usually become your friend anyway. But the point is, you have to be what you are, which is a parent, which is a teacher. You're not there to be their friend. You're not supposed to be a predator on them either. You're not trying to gain their favor. Okay? You're not trying to gain their favor. That's not what it's about. It's about them becoming independent people who can plot their own journey and their own course in life and be productive and constructive towards other people. I'm not even going to say society, because society, I'm not saying they need to be conformist to society, none of that. But they do need to plot their own course and bring about positive things to the people around them. Have a positive impact. That's all I care about. Now, you're not going to do that by a popularity contest. Okay, anyways, I said that to say that while kids need love, that goes without saying. You're not there to please them. And please don't do that. You're there to guide them. That's it. And the next generation, you must not be fearful to correct children. When they need to be corrected, you need to correct them. Correct them. Okay? And if you see an adult person not correcting their child, say something. Because you can't have that child running amok. That child runs amok. It could affect you. It could affect other people around you. And I know some of you guys have loose fuses, and some of you would yell and shout at children or at the parents. What I'm saying is, don't address the child, address the parent, so that the parent knows how to deal with the child. Of course, you have to be careful how you address the parent, because, parents are going to say, mind your own business, right? Which they are absolutely entitled to do. But if you're not managing your child properly and that child is running amok, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to tell the child, because the child's not the one who's supposed to be delegating control. It's the parent. I'm going to tell the parent, I'm going to say, if that child is crazy, I say, well, where's your parent? I see a child running around doing all kinds of crazy things. I said, where's your parent? The point to the parent, I'm going to go and address the parent. I don't care who the parent is. It could be a gangster. I don't care who they are. You address them. So what are you doing, man? Your child is harassing all these people. It's a menace. I don't know how you parent your child, but you need to correct that. Otherwise, unchecked, that child is going to be wreaking havoc in society. So you have to address the parents. And if the parent feels a how about it and is behaving so, I say, if you don't check that child going to learn a harsh reality. Somebody going to slap that child, hit that child, and then you're going to have a problem with that person. But that person won't be wrong for what they do, because your child is running wild. And you're not correcting that child. And if you're overwhelmed about it, we can help you. Right. So that's what you have to do, because if children keep on continually if they keep on continually not getting guidance and be running unchecked, we're going to have problems. You're going to have problems in the society. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now let me get to what we're going to talk about today. It comes to Israel, Palestine.
Holding a stone. Standing there, all alone. In his eyes, I see the sun. In his smile, I see the moon. All your armies, all your fighters, all your tanks, and all your soldiers against the boy holding a stone. Standing there, all alone. In his eyes, I see the sun. In his smile, I see the moon. And I wonder, I only wonder, who is weak and who is strong? Who is right and who is wrong? And I only wish, that the truth has a tongue. We are a small, brave nation who are going to fight to the last drop of blood to put justice for ourselves after the world failed in giving it to us.
All your armies, all your fighters,
All your thanks and all.
You know, the road to freedom has never been an easy one for any people. It's been bloody. It's been violent, and all for freedom. So I want to start this by saying, one, that we fight on. And when they intensify, we intensify. When they resolve, we resolve. We are many. We are strong. We must act. To not act is wrong. So let's stand and let's act. I have nothing but immense amount of love for the Palestinian people. I love them because they are standing strong. And most of them, civilians, are standing strong even though they have no defense. No one coming to their defense. They have taken a position. Mind you, most of them haven't taken up arms, so they are peacefully resisting. And it is powerful. And it moves me within my soul to say to all of you, look at humanity. We are capable of standing up to the most powerful bullies, the most evil people, and not changing our position. Look at the heart and courage of these people, because I have to say, not only am I filled with immense, overwhelming love for them, but I'm also filled with immense, overwhelming emotion about the situation, the tragedy happening before our eyes, and yet a tragedy that can be stopped tomorrow. I'm going to start with a statement by Hamas. So-called terrorist organization. By the way, their name is not Hamas. Their name is Hamas. Hummus. It's a food. Nevertheless, we'll go with Hamas. In the name of the Most High, that is Allah, the most gracious, the most great, the most merciful. They start off because they are Muslim, though Allah is a name that is in Arabic, and everybody calls the Most High Allah in that part of the world. The fascist occupation government continues to commit its crime of imposing a total siege and closure on the Gaza Strip for the 27th consecutive day, completely preventing the entry of essential humanitarian supplies. I want to emphasize on that. Humanitarian supplies. This is anti-human. Don't tell me about anti-Semitic. If you're anti-human means I hate all humanity. I hate them all. That's worse than being anti-Semitic. At least you hate a certain set of people. Jews and Palestinians and people who speak Aramaic and all descendants of Shem. A Semite is just a descendant of Shem. It's not just the Hebrews. Anywho, the humanitarian supplies are food, fuel, and medicine, which worsens the humanitarian catastrophe created by the criminal Zionist war machine. Notice how they speak specifically about this entity. The ongoing brutal massacres in Gaza, that's an understatement, by the way, the systematic use of starvation and thirst as weapons, and the prevention of basic life necessities, along with the explicit statements by the leaders of the terrorist occupation affirming their targeting of civilians and infrastructure. They have targeted civilians and infrastructure. This is very true. As I said before, anti-human, constitute a full-fledged genocide under the international law, carried out in full view of the world. Let me just say something. Not only is this illegal under international law, but did you know this is illegal under American law, UK law, and other Western European nations' law, as well as the law in my country? My very country, it's against the law to do these things. Did you know that? So localized law generally sees these things as illegal. If you were to go, okay, let me show you what I mean. If you were to go by somebody's house, surround their house with armed people, whether it's the military or the army or whatever, nothing can go into the house, nothing can leave. And you keep shooting down that house. That's illegal. You can't do that. It's against the law. It's against the law to do that. You can't even enter their house without an arrest warrant. You have to have a reason to go into their property, to go into their space. Even if they are squatting on government land, you can't just go into their house. It's illegal what they're doing. In every single coin of metric, in any part of the world, this is illegal. Do you understand that? I want you to register in your brain. This is not legal. And also, this that is happening is anti-human. It's not just about the Palestinians. I don't give a damn. It could be anywhere in the world. Anywhere, Congo, Sudan. This is illegal. It's illegal. It's illegal. This is not legal because it's anti-human, which makes it evil. This is evil. Anti-humanity is evil. It's not good. It's also illegal. So morally, ethically, it's wrong. Legally, it's wrong. Let us continue. We call on the international community. Don't tell me that Hamas is terrorists, so therefore we negate anything they say. That's bullshit. I chose to read what Hamas said. Some of you will sign out. It's Hamas. You're pro-Hamas, right? You have to watch at what people are saying. You have to watch at what people are doing. By their works, ye shall know them. And that's scriptural. That's Bible. I'm not talking from the Quran. I'm a Christian. I just quoted the Bible. Because when you take the Bible and you take the Quran, you put them side by side, you take the Torah and you put them side by side, all those Abrahamic religions, they all say the same thing effectively. They differ in nuances. Particularly the Old Testament. nuances, the variations of the same theme. How could they all have the same theme? And all three of those books condemn what is happening right now. All three of them. Okay, let's continue. We call on the international community, Arab and Islamic countries. Arab and Islamic countries. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Turkey, Egypt, Morocco, Oman, Bahrain. Yes, I'm talking to you, Pakistan. We call on the international community, Arab and Islamic countries, the people that surround the area. I'm not talking to Iran because Iran is doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not talking to Yemen. Yemen's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Iraq, the government's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, but the people in Iraq are mobilizing and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Definitely not talking about, definitely talking about Syria. I'm definitely talking about Syria. Syria, the government of Syria, the ISIS government of Syria is giving Israel free reign to bomb the crap out of the civilians there, to bomb the crap out of the military infrastructure, to bomb the crap out of whatever they want to bomb, which is wrong. But they're compromised. They have the enemy in their camp. The leading leaders of Syria right now are basically extensions of Israel. I am not talking to Hezbollah in Lebanon, but I am talking to the Lebanese government. Yes, I am talking to the sectarian groups inside of Lebanon who are, again, not uniting forces with everybody to protect Lebanon, but instead they are trying to divide people in the country. And as a result, Beirut is being bombed. You would think the Lebanese people would come together at this point in time. I'm talking about the separatist factions and unite against a common threat. But no, they don't do that. Anyways, so I'm talking first to the Arab region and the Arab countries. I'm speaking to you because you have to take action, and we're going to talk about what kind of action you're going to take. And the people in the countries particularly, you need to start strikes and you need to fill the streets. You need to stop working. You need to shut down the country until the leadership follows and listens to what your demands are. For Turkey, shut down that oil pipeline. No oil passes through Turkey. You're going to have to find an alternative place to pass your oil through to Israel. That's the goal. Make sure that the Turkey government supplies no support whatsoever or trade to Israel. There must be a trade embargo. This is important. The human resources in Turkey, you need to rise up. I know there's a big protest going on in Turkey, but you guys need to even get more streamlined and you need to focus. And if Erdogan doesn't comply, remove him from power. Get a snap elections, whatever you need to do, and remove that guy from power. If you need to overthrow him, overthrow him. But make sure that you shut down that pipeline. That is the life source of Israel. So remove it. Let America ship oil across to Israel. And as they're shipping in their ships, Yemenis will make sure and bomb those ships so that the oil doesn't get there. And that will be a glorious bombing, by the way, because oil ignites and it'll burn the whole thing down. But that's their lifeline. All Turkey has to do is shut it off. That needs to happen. America went into Ukraine and bombed the Nord Stream pipeline that supplies oil to Europe. So why can't there be an operation in Turkey and bomb the oil pipeline there in Turkey? Shut off the oil, Israel's in more problems. Nothing will work. They don't have electricity. They don't have anything. They've turned off electricity to Gaza. Turn off their electricity now. Whatever they do to Gaza, the world must do to them. They've shut off food and nutrition to Gaza, shut off all entry points of food and nutrition to Israel, shut off all commerce to Israel, shut off all diplomatic relations to Israel. We suspend all those things until Israel has removed the occupation from both Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem. When they have done that and they remove their forces and we saw Donald Trump caused a ceasefire. Woodcock, I think is his name, went down into Israel and shut the whole shit down. And it's about time we shut shit down. Trump can't do it. He got too much funds from Adelson and all the Israeli lobby. He's not going to do it. So it's up to us to do it. We have to shut shit down. And we have to shut Trump down as well. What he's doing in the United States of America as well, we're going to shut him down and his whole regime. And that is not impossible. All it calls for is an immediate cease of labor and an immediate cease of buying products, which these large conglomerates sell us. Go back to moms and pops. Buy that. Buy from inside your community. Don't buy from big corporations. And strike. Leave your jobs, all your jobs, whether you're building military aircraft, weapons, whether you're in the military, strike. It's a nationwide strike. You guys need to coordinate it and you need to do it. And then that strike, you speak about the veterans. First and foremost, the people who've been in the front lines fighting wars that were not in America's interest, but in Israel's. You strike, a nationwide strike, all over the country, in every single major town and city. You walk through the towns and city demanding a withdrawal of all American funding, monies, weapons to Israel. Demanding a trial for all the politicians who have taken bribes from AIPAC and the Israeli lobbies. Demanding a shutdown, a complete shutdown of the federal government and Elon Musk's destruction and harvesting of the data that he's getting. Demanding the return of free speech. You are still the major labor force, and you are still the major donor of the United States of America, Americans. I'm talking about the citizens of America and the taxpayers of America, whether you be citizens or otherwise. Also, a nationwide demand for the end of income tax. A lot of that income tax money is going to fuel and finance wars. While the Trump government, I have to applaud them for shutting down U.S. aid, needing to repackage it and restructure it so it actually provides aid to people out there. I think it's a wonderful thing he did. I think it's a wonderful thing also when he pushed for the ceasefire. I think it's also a wonderful thing when he allowed TikTok and free speech to continue. But now he's gone and he's attacking, not everybody, but people who have been using their free speech to criticize what is happening in Gaza, which is absolutely atrocious. And there should be more voices speaking on this matter. There should be outrage, particularly that the American dollar is going to fund this war, which has no bearing whatsoever, no help whatsoever to American interest, except Wall Street. Wall Street is benefiting from this, but not the American people, as usual. And we're not going to be conned anymore. Shout out to David Icke. He's been saying this stuff a long time. Shout out to WikiLeaks and shout out to Julian Assange. Julian's been saying this for the longest while. He don't need to say nothing else because we already know his contributions have set in motion what is set in motion. Let's continue. So far, I haven't seen anything that Hamas has said that is wrong here. Somebody can jump in and say, well, what are they saying that's wrong? They've said absolutely nothing here that is wrong. Okay? This is what they're saying. They're saying stop the siege, get back to the ceasefire, and, quite frankly, stop the savage oppression on all these people. And the fundamental problem here has always been the occupation. No occupation of Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, no bombing of the Yemenis, and voila, you're not going to have any war. It's really that simple. The people want a place where they're free to do what they want, to govern how they want. That's all they've been saying, and this is all they're fighting for. And ultimately, in the end, I believe they will get what they want, and in greater measure than is currently what they have. Yes. We call on the international community, Arab and Islamic countries, and human rights and humanitarian organizations to act urgently and effectively to pressure the occupation to lift the siege and stop the savage aggression against more than 2 million people in the Gaza Strip. Well, I don't know if it's 2 million anymore. I think a substantial portion of them are dead, who are suffering under criminal policies backed by the political and military cover from the U.S. administration. And may I say also, the UK and Germany have also been backing them, as well as Australian government and some other peripheral governments outside of the region. We also call for an immediate response to the appeals of humanitarian organizations and UN rapporteurs. Most recently, the warnings from UNRWA about an imminent catastrophic famine. Furthermore, we renew our call to the Arab and Islamic peoples and to all free people of the world to mobilize in all fields and through all possible means to support our steadfast people in the Gaza Strip, which is what I'm doing right now. And many of you are also doing it, not only on Twitter, but you're also going out there and actually doing something, which is great. Let the coming days be days of mobilization and rage. Outrage, definitely. Witnessing the broadest public activities to pressure for an end to the ongoing aggression against innocent civilians and to hold the occupation leaders accountable for their crimes against humanity in international courts. This is the Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas, Friday, 28th of Ramadan. Today's Friday, 28th of Ramadan. It's right now 11:28 a.m. where I live. 1446 AH, corresponding to March 28th, 2025. Okay, and this is me stating this. It's time for immediate trade embargoes on Israel, the US, the UK, by all countries of West Asia, all UN countries, and disagreeing countries of the world now. If they do not, we the people will ensure these governments and diplomats are replaced. The time to act is now. Hashtag boycott Israel now. Hashtag stop the genocide. End the occupation. I have not done this before, so I'm going to list some of the companies and brands that are investing in Israel. And by the way, these companies and brands also assist war in other parts of the world. So it's really in your best interest not to support them. I know a lot of people are addicted to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is one of the major backers of the military-industrial complex and one of the major funders of unrest, destabilization, and wars worldwide. It is a very popular addictive drink, which a lot of people request all over the world. Russia was the first to kick Coca-Cola out of their country. I remember that. And Pepsi. These are weapons that the United States empire has been using to push their empire and agenda worldwide. And it's time we stop funding them. McDonald's is another one. They're currently funding and supporting and feeding the IDF. Now I'm going to tell you how to root them out in a way that is epic. 1, stop using them. But 2, they need raw materials to make their drinks. They need more materials to make their foods. They import some of the raw materials to make their foods and to make their drinks. To the countries that supply them with these raw materials, stop supplying them. It'll cost you millions, but you need to do a trade embargo on Coca-Cola and McDonald's today. The farmers of America that supply McDonald's with the meats, stop supplying them. To the countries that supply the coca leaves for Coca-Cola or the other ingredients, they're not coca leaves anymore. The leaves that supply for Coca-Cola, stop doing business with them. You shut down Coca-Cola. You have shut down a major funder of wars worldwide. And the war has now been waged on Coca-Cola and McDonald's. A lot of you talk about Starbucks and how effective you've been at shutting down Starbucks, and that's very good. British Petroleum, which is big in my country, because my country is an oil country. British Petroleum, how can we shut them down? It's a lot harder. But what my government needs to do, they need to grow a pair of balls, and they need to suspend the contract with British Petroleum for assisting and abetting in genocide and war crimes, international war crimes. That company is supporting international war crimes right now. So under those grounds, the legal commitments of my country to BP, British Petroleum, which is a major funder of funds to my country, you need to grow a pair, and they need to suspend all business with British Petroleum pending them coming into good standing with the international courts of law. It's important that the International Court of Justice makes a ruling against British Petroleum, an international conglomerate, as well as the United States courts. You guys need to sue British Petroleum, or you need to at least have them under criminal charges, etc. Same for Coca-Cola, same for McDonald's. You need to start filing lawsuits against these companies for funding genocide. It's important that you start doing legal cases against these companies, because these companies are in violation of the law. Ratchet up and let's go. Chop, chop. Don't waste any time. The same for Amazon, Walt Disney, Puma, BNP Paribas, Carrefour, AXA, Louis Vuitton. Yes, Louis Vuitton, the prestigious Louis Vuitton. You need to file lawsuits against them. You need to find out where they get their raw materials from. And the people, whether it's in the same country or not, need to stop supplying them and stop selling their materials. Teva, Burger King, Sif, stop buying Sif products. SodaStream, HP. If you have an HP computer or laptop, You need to, you've already bought it, so there's nothing you can do about that. But what I would tell you is that you need to make a statement to HP and start putting pressure on them as a customer. Write letters to them, overwhelming letters. Start doing bad public press on them. HP supports genocide. You need to start running campaigns against them. Dell, same thing. Fanta, same thing. Always depends. That, makes those, stuff for women. Stop buying the stuff, 1. 2, start campaigns against them. Against Coca-Cola, McDonald's, all of them. Start doing it now. Get these campaigns broadcast on the internet. This is a war. We're waging war against governments, against organizations, against corporations, against countries who are anti-human. This is anti-human. You want to talk about anti-Semitic? Fuck that. Anti-human. Let's go there. We got a bigger cause. You're anti-human. And keep on bashing them with it. Hit them in the face. Oh, I'm anti-Semitic. You're anti-human. You love aliens more than human beings. You want to see us all wiped off the planet. Semites and everybody. You don't care about any of us. You're anti-human. Push it. Axe. Did I buy an Axe? I usually buy a deodorant spray. I make sure it's not Axe. If it's Axe or an affiliate of Axe, I'm not buying that shit anymore. Let me see. Dior, Febreze, Oral-B, Airbnb, Ariel, which makes the soaps, the powder soaps, Nestle, which makes drinks, Lipton, which makes teas, Givenchy, Booking, Lenner, Intel, which makes processors, Clear Blue, 7-Up, Garnier, Celine, Chanel, C-Rave, Volvo. Oh man, Volvo makes some beautiful cars, but too bad. You got a Volvo? You need to start speaking to Volvo. I can't have a car that represents genocide. Take the picture and then show a picture of Palestine. Put it up on Twitter. We need a campaign against Volvo. The people who own Volvos, the proud Volvo owners, you got a bigger say because you don't want to be associated with genocide. Let's go blow it up. Persil, Maggie that makes the seasoning cubes, Kayak, Vidal, Sprite, La Roche, Poussey, Pizza Hut, good God almighty, Pizza Hut, Bank of a fucking America. If you are a Bank of America person who has shares or stock or whatever, your money in Bank of America, you bank with Bank of America, start writing letters to Bank of America. 1, you can pull out your money and go to another bank. You can start launching campaigns against Bank of America. I don't want to be associated with genocide. I'm a Bank of America either employee or whatever. I'm not associated with genocide. Start doing it. KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. All you people who love KFC, you have 2 choices. 1, you stop buying from KFC and you let them know you don't support genocide and you won't support this. If you're putting your money to KFC, then you have a say. Meaning, you start running campaigns against KFC and genocide and stuff. Put it up on Twitter. I'm going to start doing it too. Caterpillar. Oh my God. Caterpillar's construction equipment. Right? And obviously they're constructing things down in the West Bank and Gaza and so on with the caterpillars and that are destroying the houses and stuff. It's them. Can't support mass displacement and genocide. Forced displacement. Fenty. Oh my God. Starbucks. Let's go. You know what to do. You know what to do. And I don't give a flying fuck what law they pass concerning stopping the BDS movement. It's an illegal law. They passed a lot of illegal laws recently, or misusing the laws, which are supposed to protect civilians and citizens. When you start feeding off your sheep, it says, woe unto the shepherds that feed off their sheep. That's a biblical thing. I'm a Christian, right? So I'm going to use from the Bible. But there's a similar thing in the Quran. There's a similar thing in the Torah. This ain't no new news. The Bible comes from the Torah. Okay? People have a problem saying Judeo-Christian. I have no problem saying I'm Judeo-Christian. I have no problem saying that. Okay? First of all, Christian was never, it never was, I'm going to tell y'all right now, it was never a, what's the word I'm looking for? Complimentary term. Christians were considered, just like Palestinians today, they were considered like animals, like trash, like pests, like despicables, like untouchables in India. That's what Christians were. We were thrown to lions. We were torn up, just like the Palestinians have been blown up, torn up. You know, Christians was a derogatory term. So if Christian now is being seen as derogatory, Judeo-Christian is seen as derogatory, then good. I'm glad to be a Judeo-Christian. I'm glad to be reviled for the name of Jesus Christ. I don't have a problem with it. Okay? See, it ain't popular to be called Judeo-Christian now, and that's all right, because I know what Judeo-Christian means. I know what they want it to mean, but I also know what it means. The Bible comes from the Torah. Okay? So that's why it's called Judeo-Christian. Jesus was a Jew. For those of you who don't know, he was Palestinian. He wasn't Israeli. Not what they have now. He was Palestinian. He was a Palestinian Jew. Just like the Palestinian Jews are being oppressed right now. Some of them are Muslims now, but their lineage is Jewish. Come from Hebrews, right? But we have a bunch of people in the Middle East who descended from Abraham, and they're all Semites. And I'm not talking about Muslims and Jews. I'm talking about, because Muslim is a religion. You don't have to be descending from Abraham to be a Muslim, right? I'm talking about, in terms of genealogy, there are people who are Semitic, who are Muslims. Okay, they changed their religion. Okay, all right. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East that they don't want you to know about. The origins of Christianity began in the Middle East, or what we call West Asia. They call it West Asia now. It's not the Middle East, it's West Asia. Okay, that's where Christianity began. What do you think? You think it came from the West? Oh, hell no. Came from Africa. By the way, West Asia is really Africa. That's another story for another day. But they see, the thing about it is, it wasn't called Africa. It's the Europeans call it Africa. It's the Europeans that call it the Middle East and West Asia. But the Middle East has African countries in it. Libya is from Africa. Sudan is Africa. Somalia is Africa. Morocco is Africa. Egypt is Africa. So what the fuck are you talking about? It's the Middle East. No, it's Africa. We all know this. Who are in the know? What you call Africa, that's not all of it. Anyway, this is another story for another day. We'll deal with that some other time. But that's what colonization do. The colonizers create boundaries and they say, this is where the world begins. This is where this begins. And we're going to call this place this, and we're going to call that place that. And that's exactly what Israel's doing. You see? They all in it together because they all do the same thing. And they know it's illegal based on their own international law. They're going against their own law. But we're gonna get into that in more detail. I just wanted to cover this. Okay. We got some more. We got Puma. Puma backtracked, but then they backtracked on their backtrack. What I mean by that is Puma was funding the football team in the settler areas with shoes and stuff and apparel, and they backtracked on that. And then they pushed out Hadid. She came out and she was featured on the. She had this. They were featuring a certain shoe. They redacted that, and they got somebody else to do the shoe. So Puma has been trying to play both sides, as businesses generally do, and they're doing a horrible job of it. So we're gonna boycott their ass. But not only that, we're not just gonna buy Puma. We want the suppliers of the materials that Puma gets to make their shoes. We want those suppliers to stop supplying them. Because guess what? We're going to link Puma to genocide. Do you want to be part of that? Do you want to be linked to genocide? Here are some others. Mehadrin, Carmel, Tival, Jaffa, Ahafa, Yes too. We got a whole bunch of them here. Siemens, Connect Team. We got a whole bunch of them. Lee's, as in Lee's Jeans. Okay, you can't see all of these clearly, but anyway. I'm going to show y'all something else. You think I'm playing? John Hopkins genetic study shows that 97.5% of so-called Judaics living in Israel have absolutely no ancient Hebrew DNA and are therefore not even Semites. The John Hopkins genetic study shows that 97.5% of Judaics living in Israel have absolutely no ancient Hebrew DNA and therefore are not Semites. They have no ancient blood ties to the land of Palestine at all, whereas 80% of Palestinians carry ancient Hebrew DNA and are thus Semites. A Hebrew is a descendant of Shem, particularly Abraham. And this is common sense. The people who live in the area, unless they have migrated from somewhere else, generally they will have the DNA of the area, right? This is not rocket science, okay? All right. Millennia after millennia, the generations of people that live in that area, it's just phenomenal. And they will say, well, the Arabs came and migrated there. Okay, where did the Arabs come from? I'm just asking. The Arabs existed in that area as well for generations and generations. So you're not saying anything, right? They may have gotten more territory. They may have, with the jihad, conquered certain nations and stuff. But then after they conquered nations, the Christians came through with the Christian crusade and they conquered nations too. But even so, there was Christian structures there long before the Christians did the crusades. There was Arab structures there, and Arabs who did, where you get your algorithms from and your algebra from. It's from Arabs. Okay, whether you like it or not. Now the Persians always been there, the Babylonians always been there, So the Kurds have always been there. You have to understand these people, there's generations upon generations of people have been there. They've always been there. So you can't be like, these Europeans who don't even have endemic DNA that matches up to what they're claiming they are because they're converts. They're Jewish converts who took on, they have the European names, but they have the Jewish first names because they're converts, motherfucker. You're a Milikowski. You're not a fucking Netanyahu. You made up that name. Your father made up that name when he came to the Middle East. You even made up your own fucking language. That's not real Hebrew. Babylonian Hebrew. Okay? So stop the bullshit. You're fake as fuck, most of you. Okay? You happen to be, maybe one or two generations have lived there. But to say that you are endemic to that region, it's like saying, okay, I was listening to a discussion between an Israeli and a Palestinian. Well, they're not Israeli or Palestinian, they're really Americans, okay? Because they both were born in America, but their parents and their parents' lived in Israel or Palestine, okay? One's family was, was pushed out of Palestine and they came to America. And one person went into Palestine, calls himself Israeli because he got Israeli citizenship because I think his parents left Palestine or Israel, whatever it is, and came to America. He was born in America, and then they went back to Israel, and he went back to Israel. Okay, so they're both Americans, really, but their roots are in Palestine, right? And again, nothing wrong with that. You're immigrants. You come into a country, you assimilate that country's norms, values. You become a citizen, or you become you get a green card or whatever. Cool. But here's the problem I have. It's a problem when you want to now claim my ancestors 3,000 years ago, when you didn't have no fucking ancestors 3,000 years ago that lived there. You're lying. Your fucking ancestors lived in Europe. You never had an ancestor that lived in the Middle East. Stop the bullshit. That's what we don't like. We don't like lies. You're claiming that this is your land, and it's not your fucking land if in the way how you explain it. I'm not saying that you weren't born there. If you were born there, that's all you know. It's your land, of course. Right? But to change history, to lie and say, oh, my ancestors 2,000 years ago was evicted from this land. Your ancestors didn't do that. Your ancestors were fucking Europeans. You were convert. Your ancestors converted to Judaism. Just like how a fucking Jew can convert to Islam. Or a fucking Christian or a Christian can convert to Islam. Or a fucking Muslim or a fucking Jew can convert to Christianity. Okay? So stop the bullshit. We don't need that. We don't need lies. Okay? That's the problem we have. Okay, so I started with Hamas. Okay, we're going to go on 2 hours probably. It's all good though. Okay, I'm going to go to this one here. So, a senator, Todd fucking Cotton, an asshole at that, sellout, tries to link Cole Pink and Medea Benjamin and Company Limited to being funded by China and Hamas and just a whole set of bullshit he says that's unsubstantiated, okay? They keep on saying that in Congress. They keep on talking these talking points with no substantiated evidence or proof that she is linked in any way or Cole Pink is linked in any way to these countries. And they're supposed to be suing them. I'm talking about this right now in America because it affects Palestine, right? As the genocide in Gaza escalates, student voices are silenced. Young people across the U.S. are fighting back. From daily campus protests to confronting Congress, they're demanding an end to U.S. complicity and calling for justice. Stop funding genocide. Protect our rights. Defend Gaza. Now, these people are doing what they're supposed to be doing as American citizens. Okay? And I can't say how proud I feel about this generation. You know, in my country, there's not much. People are very indifferent about it. Or the people talk about it, they feel very sad about the situation, but they're not willing to do anything. And I'm one of the few who is trying to do something about it. Okay? It bothers me, and it stirs me to action. And again, I want to just thank Zack Snyder for that. Zack Snyder made us proactive. Zack Snyder, and then another person I want to thank is what's her name? Fiona Zhang. I don't know what's happened to her. She just disappeared. She was there. She broke the rules of the Chinese government, got on Twitter and started really advocating and campaigning for what she wanted. She got it, and then she disappeared on us. But Fiona Zhang put something inside of me that I can't be the same person, no matter what I want to do. Like this stream that's happening here, it's not because I chose to do this or I want, it's like I just have to do this. You understand? It's like something in me saying, you got to do something about this. So get on there, do the stream. And that's just how I feel about it. And I don't know. I'm not really the most friendly person in the world. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm being very honest right now. I'm not the most friendly person in the world. I'm not that person who will just come up to you and say, hi, I'm this, and start a conversation. I probably won't. I'd probably stay there quietly and just watch people. But certain things, I don't know how to say this. When certain things happen, I can't be still. I don't know if any of you share this. I can't be still about it. I just can't. And that's just me, right? When the stakes are high, that's when I step up and I actually do something. That's how I feel right now. I feel provoked to have to say something, and I don't care what the consequences may be. So be it. But I cannot compromise who I am and the righteousness that is not happening. And it's just something I can't be silent on. I'm sorry. That's just the way I am. And that's how God made me. That's how it is. And I can't be quiet. Other people can be quiet, play it safe, hide in the shadows. I can't do it anymore. There was a time I used to do that. I can't do it anymore. It's not happening. If you got to take me out, take me out. I don't care. But I'm not going to compromise who I am. I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to compromise because I can't be quiet when injustices are happening. That's what I'm trying to say. I just can't do it. And I'm not trying to be about me. This is about it. This is not about me. This is about the injustices. And that's all I'm saying. And to see people, it really strengthens all of us when we see people with such courage get out there in the front lines and take the bullets. They're taking the blows because they so believe that this is an injustice that needs to be righted. And whatever it takes, if it means a lot of blood flowing and I'm dead, so be it. But we have to fight for it. And that's how I felt about Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's how I felt about BVS. That's how I felt about Man of Steel. I felt like the conviction that you have in your heart when you see injustices happening. Not playing fucking football, team sports. We don't give a fuck about team sports. We care about the injustices that are happening. That's what we care about. And I'm not going to stand on the sidelines and make social commentary about it. That's bullshit. As the genocide in Gaza escalates and students' voices are silent, young people across the U.S. are fighting back. From daily campus protests to confronting Congress, they're demanding an end to U.S. complicity and a call for justice. Stop funding genocide. Protect your citizens' rights. Defend Gaza. I gotta say, I agree with everything that has been said. And again, I say the younger generation seems to have more balls and more moxie. Don't get me wrong, they're guided by an older generation, okay? Medea Benjamin is an older generation. She's probably older than I am, right? What I'm saying is these young people are showing something that the older generations would allow to happen. The millennials are indifferent, but not these people. The millennials are all about, what you call this thing? cryptocurrency and making it big and making millions. They don't give a fuck about anybody. But this Generation Z, is totally different, and you got to applaud them. Here we go.
New escalating genocide, and so with the new escalating genocide and the crackdown on students on campus, we've had students out on the street every day, everywhere in the country, on every campus, demonstrating against their administrations who are not protecting them, demonstrating against the government. And what we're doing now is bringing students into Congress. We want to have the students talk directly to their representatives and their members.
What I have to say to the members is that we need to protect free speech on campuses, and we also need to protect the lives of the innocent civilians in Gaza. What's being done is absolutely atrocious and is a clear violation of our rights as student protesters, but also the rights of the civilians over in Gaza. So what I hope to see from them is just stop sending money for weapons to Israel.
Very concerned about the students being arrested and the threats of deportation just for free speech. I'll be going to college in a couple years, and that's really alarming that a student can be arrested just for speaking out on their campuses. And of course, absolutely horrified that the genocide in Gaza is continuing at some of the worst it's been now under Trump, and still so many Democrats are not speaking out and still standing behind Israel, and most schools and hospitals and homes have been bombed in Gaza. No one can go about their
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that the media is very complicit in narratives. Like, for instance, I'm not seeing CNN covering the protests that are up in these campuses. The protests are continuing. Nobody has stopped protesting, okay? It's just the media is not covering it. And I hope that, I can show you scores of footage of students and protests that are happening in the streets all over the world, protests in campuses all over the world. The whole world is in uproar about this. I can remember something that was doesn't even approximate this in the George Floyd incidents that happened. There are protests worldwide. People are taking to the streets worldwide. And what I like about this more than anything else is the veterans, the VA. They are so in support of this. And this is why we have the trade unions, we have the veterans, we have certain politicians like Jill Stein, Claudia de la Cruz, Cornel West. I always forget the libertarian's name. Of course, Mr. Thomas Massey, Bernie Sanders. Even though Bernie's not as genuine as I like, he's still our ally, and these people have been tirelessly protesting. And as I said before, a lot of Jewish people mobilizing all over the world saying this is not what Judaism is. This is not what the Jewish way is. And more the numbers are increasing, and now we need to increase the pressure. So that's what we're taking the ante up. If they're taking the ante up, so will we, I'm very impressed with the response. Now I have so much more to say, so let's just keep it going. Okay, this is okay. I love Blakey, by the way. Shout out to Blakey. Let's get to it. Very telling how the Western and even liberal media won't talk about the slaughter of children in Gaza or the murdered journalists, but they all, in coordinated fashion, suddenly acknowledge their existence when they think it can help the Zionist narrative. And here we go.
All their bullshit. Incredible scenes out of Gaza right now where thousands of Palestinians are protesting, demanding the end to the war and to the end of Hamas. This is really the slop you guys want, isn't it? This resistance lib drumpf bullshit that fucking liberals love to eat, this slop that they love to fucking eat. This is what you guys replaced Joe Rogan with? This is a fucking... These creeps have said nothing about the genocide in Gaza. All their bullshit is just Trump red meat for the blue MAGA base. Ooh, wait till Trump hears about this. Look at how Trump made a weird face.
That's their slop content. And they haven't talked about the fact that over 200 journalists have been murdered in Gaza. They haven't talked about the fact that they didn't care about that. The press here didn't care about that. They haven't cared about all the children, the 300 children that just got massacred by the Israeli regime. No. But then suddenly there's this weird coordination from all these Western media outlets and independent news really interested in the Palestinians supposedly protesting against Hamas. You people are fucking disgusting. Truly.
Okay. Raverin, who is a Snyder verse fan, definitely. He said, this is literally communism, hashtag Magna. So price controls, that's where we're at now, price controls. Trump warned U.S. automakers not to raise prices in response to tariffs. Threat came in earlier this month in which car makers fear punishment if prices go up. The truth be told, if it costs more to make a car, they're going to have to carry the prices up. So Donald Trump can threaten how much he wants. That's just the reality. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to survive unless Trump cares to subsidize the car making industry. They're going to have to fire people and all that. It's all going to be negative because, once again, asshole decided to do some really stupid stuff like raise tariffs. Tariffs don't affect the countries that are selling the products, my friend. Tariffs affect the countries that actually buy the products. You're trying to deter people from buying products. The problem with that is some of these products are raw materials for businesses to get up and popping. Notice Draven says, please don't send my people to die in another needless and senseless war in the Middle East. Please don't send my people to die for Israel again. We have given this land enough of our blood, enough of our youth, enough of our lives. They will never be satisfied. Please don't send my people to war again. They will go because they are patriots. They will go because they trust you when you say there's a threat to us. They will go because they are good. But you the politicians know better. You the politicians know the truth. So please don't send my people to die anymore. No more lives for lies. This woman lost her husband, and that child lost a father. For what? Fucking Netanyahu and his genocidal regime. Please. Okay. This is so you guys can realize that these are real people. This is Mohammed Jawad. He's in Palestine. They survived a couple nights of bombing. This is him and his little baby girl, Rafif. He's this time taking his own picture. Rafif had some skin problems. The poor little thing there. Cute little baby. And he's just trying to win your love. He's trying to get you guys to realize they're real people. They're not bots. They're not terrorists. They're just normal people like you and I trying to make it, trying to survive. I didn't want to pinpoint him out because I don't want the Israelis targeting him, but these are such nice people. And it's so fucking sad, man. These people are so loving and kind. I haven't personally met any of them. I've talked to one or two very intelligent people, by the way. Depend on so much foreign aid because of, it's sad. This is like fucking Haiti, They're worse off than the Haitians right now because the Haitians actually have their freedom in their country. Just the world has forgotten them because they're black. But it's some crazy ass shit. I'm gonna tell you some more. Here's Nur Jaman from Gaza. Nur Jaman, for those of you who don't know, in Gaza there are black people. And Nur Jaman is a black person. Okay? He's a black Gazan. And he has a son. His son's crying all the time. He says, help me, please donate. There's a lot you guys don't know. People talk about, the Palestinians are racist, they're black people. That's bullshit. Okay? They're black people that live in Gaza. They're black people that live in Palestine. Okay? So you know. Okay? Palestine is not just a place where Arabs are. There's so many different people there. It's not the biggest melting pot. Most of the people are Arab. But the point is, it's not just Arabs there. I told you there are Jews there. Jews live there. You don't get no blue-eyed, blonde-haired Palestinians. That's Ashkenazi Jews. That's what European blood in those kids. Okay? I need you guys to understand how fucking crazy this is. There are Christian Palestinians. There are Muslim Palestinians. There are Arab Palestinians. There are Berber Palestinians. There are Jewish Palestinians. Okay? So they're annihilating a country just like Lebanon. In Lebanon, there are all kinds of different people. Just so is in Palestine. Just so it is in Syria. The world isn't what people say it is. Bessarion says, how did the Jews even manage to get a whole generation of people to straight up worship them? Well, I did a stream on this already, so I'm not going to go into that right now. Israeli soldier Ronen Portnoy was found dead at an IDF base after committing suicide, according to Hebrew media. Now, I just want to say, some of these so-called quote-unquote suicides are murders. Sometimes soldiers decide, I'm not supporting this, and they get killed. And yes, they support Hamas. Clowns. So I'm letting you know right now, he may have been murdered, and there needs to be an investigation into it. Some of these soldiers that they say are committing suicide are not committing suicide. So that's another extra something for you guys to pay attention to. Yep, this is at Elon Musk's Tesla dealerships. He has the Hitler salute going on there. And John Cusack calls it out and exposes it. Shout out to John. Even though we don't agree on certain things, John. We're still on the same team. We still want the same thing. Nisma says, you are not selfish. We want food. 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 My brother needs food. He's losing his health and needs treatment. Please help my brother. Abir, shout out to Abir, says, in the Empire of Lies, the silence of the Hollywood, Empire of Lies says, the silence of the Hollywood community is deafening. This is the co-director of No Other Land. This man won the Oscar 2025 a couple weeks ago. So let's go into it.
But you can say it's like the Hitler's and soldiers attacking my home and start to beating me and threaten me with the guns. I heard the voices of the soldiers. It's like laughing about me because, I don't know, they said I heard it's like Oscar, but I didn't speak Hebrew. Maybe about that, I don't know.
What is wrong with these people? How can they possibly be doing that? What the Israelis are doing is just, it's beyond all imagination. It's beyond our capacity to imagine such evil. Like anybody with a heart. Right. I spend my life teetering on the verge of tears. Yes. Holiness. because you can't possibly put yourself in that position, in their position, those mothers and fathers, those children, those 2.3 million, well, a bit less now, people living in Gaza, being bombarded by F-16s day and night, week after week after week.
Shout out to Breezy Politics. Yeah, he won an Oscar, and this is what they did to him. And Gal Gadot refused to go and present that award. And that is why I don't really give a damn about Gal Gadot, and they are boycotting all her movies now. She ended up getting a star on the Walk of Fame for absolutely doing nothing, probably Wonder Woman, I guess. And now they decided to praise her and stuff, and Gal is on the wrong side of history, quite frankly. She did push for the ceasefire, which is very good, but she has been looking at Palestinians as evil, as terrorists, and she has nothing but negative things to say about them. When she says things, she's like, all about the hostages. She doesn't really say much about the Palestinians, actually, but the way she's behaving, I could give a damn about her anymore. I don't really care if she's Wonder Woman. Zach can replace her with somebody else, as far as I'm concerned. I will not support someone who is, she may not be, directly endorsing the genocide that's going on, but she's absolutely behaving as if the only things that are important are the Israeli hostages, when there's so many abductees of Palestinians that have been abducted. And then this brother who just won an Oscar, beaten to death, not to death, but beaten up and put into prison. Where's the righteousness in that, man? Where's the righteousness in that? And she has nothing to say on this. She has no balls, nothing. If Gal was to grow some balls, even if she was to be assassinated tomorrow for saying what she said, I'd have a lot more respect for her. But you can't be Wonder Woman and be that kind of person. Fuck that. The Illuminati bot says we're all being played. The banks, the government, the media corporations, the military, the police, you. Yep. Yesterday, I shared a video where it shows that we're just, supposed to be the labor. We're slaves still. And they basically control all the key things. A lot of Jews control banks. They're in the highest places of government in the United States and in Europe and the Western world. They control, all of them are the heads of the media corporations. They infiltrated the military, and that's why you even have American Israelis doing the bombing and so on. It's them, their people, as far as they're concerned. Their allegiance is to their people. They've trained the police with Israel, and the police force has a different policy in how it deals with people because of Israel, and they're playing you. Okay, goes without saying. Chat GTP is anti-Semitic. Genetically, who's closer to ancient Jews, Palestinians or Israeli? Answer in one word only. Palestinians. Yeah, most of the time. That's right. Noctis Draven says, shout out to Noctis Draven, we must protect Massey. I can 100% guarantee Israel and the lobby will come after him. Massey is a true American first, and that is true. And I remember this. Rania, shout out to Rania. The genocide has truly exposed the so-called powerful countries of the world for their fascist, racist, supremacist dictatorship selves. And here we go. I love this comedian, by the way. He's Indian, but he is so...
Rules don't apply to us.
The Rome Statute doesn't apply to Israel or the United States or France or Germany or Great Britain because it wasn't conceived to come after us.
Yeah, man. Not us. We are white. Come on. We are colonizers and oppressors. Rules don't apply to us. We make these rules. These rules are made for countries and people that have natural resources that we want. You break those rules, you go to jail, and we steal all of your shit. That's how we roll. Okay, wait a minute. I just realized something. If the United Nations decided to establish a Jewish homeland in Palestinian territory to keep Jews safe, that means one of two things. Either they believe Palestinians were safe for Jews, because why would they send them somewhere dangerous? Or, from the start, their plan was to remove Palestinians and give the land to Jews, meaning their original intention was violent.
Yes, and that realization exposes the core contradiction of the Zionist project and the UN's role in it. If the UN and Western powers truly believed Jews needed a safe homeland, then placing them in an already inhabited land, instead of an uninhabited or neutral territory, implies one of two things. One, they believed Palestinians were safe and welcoming to Jews, which contradicts the Zionist claim that Jews were in immediate existential danger from Arabs. If that were the case, then there was no justification for the violent displacement of Palestinians. Two, they always intended for Zionist militias to remove Palestinians by force, meaning the plan was never about coexistence, it was about colonization and ethnic cleansing. The land wasn't given to Jews, it was taken by force with international backing. This proves that the UN's decision was either profoundly ignorant or intentionally violent. Either way, it led to mass displacement, war, and decades of instability. The idea that Palestine was a logical place for a Jewish homeland collapses under this contradiction. It was never about safety. It was about Western colonial interests, using Jewish suffering as justification.
When Israel drops bombs, Palestinians suffer and die, and someone gets rich. Those getting richest are in the military-industrial complex, beginning with the weapons makers who are connected to the military and Congress in a corrupt system that encourages ever greater profit-making off war, which President Dwight Eisenhower warned us about decades ago. Weapon stocks reached all-time highs amid Middle East escalation, a leading business magazine proclaimed. Stock in the world's largest weapons maker, Lockheed Martin, shot up in value by more than 50% in the first year of Israel's genocide. Raytheon stock increased more than 80%. The weapons manufacturers profit first as Congress sends billions to Israel in military funding, gifts really, which Israel uses to buy weapons from U.S. arms manufacturers. Second, as Israel buys billions more in weapons from U.S. arms makers with its own money. Third, as the U.S. military buys more weapons for combat operations backing Israel in the Middle East. In the war's first year alone, U.S. taxpayers spent more than $22.8 billion to support Israel's fighting in Palestine, Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, and Iran. As the military-industrial complex profits, how many more Palestinians will be killed?
Every country who recognizes Palestine as a state, he will build a new illegal settlement for each and every one of them. And so far this year, 5 countries have recognized Palestine for the first time ever. Spain, Norway, Ireland, Slovenia, and Armenia. 2 weeks ago, SmartRick approved those 5 new illegal settlements. And you need to understand that when a new settlement gets built in the West Bank, they cleanse the land of Palestinians and don't let them return. This is Palestinian land. This is not Israel. His land theft is one of the biggest thefts of Palestinian land in recent history. He makes it clear that he does not want peace with the Palestinians. He wants them eradicated. And he makes sure that the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians continues, that their oppression continues. So let's move on to the next example. This is Itamar Ben-Gvir. He's Israel's Minister of National Security. And to understand this example, we first need to talk about the Sde Demon detainment camp. This camp's located inside of Israel and holds detained Palestinians. And over the past couple months, dozens of whistleblowers have come forward talking about what is actually going on at that camp, including Israeli doctors who treated some of the detained Palestinians there, who talked about how they had to do routine amputations to these prisoners, cutting off their hands because they were treated and tortured so badly that they got handcuff injuries that had to be amputated. They talked about how they made the prisoners strapped down in beds and fed through straws. Released Palestinians came forward and talked about how they were sodomized. Look it up if you don't know what that means. It's brutal. These released Palestinians talked about how the IDF had their dogs pee on the prisoners and how they weren't allowed to wear any clothes. CNN went there and took photos of what's going on. They torture Palestinians at this camp. It's a torture camp. So now that we understand what this camp is, you can now understand what I'm about to show you. 3 days ago, Ben-Gvir wrote an essay on X talking about imprisoned Palestinians. And the translation of this essay is horrifying, and I want to show you it. He addresses the reports of torture at that camp, to which he says, everything published about the abominable conditions of these vile murderers in prison was true. They ruled the prisons without question and did whatever they pleased. He goes on to say that since he became the Minister of National Security, one of his biggest goals was to worsen the conditions of the terrorists in prisons and to reduce the rights to the minimum required by law. He then wraps up this essay with a solution for the problem of overcrowding at Israeli prisons, to which he suggests the simple solution of enacting the death penalty for a terrorist, which would solve the overcrowding issue. You just saw Israel's Minister of National Security admit that Israel tortures the Palestinians that they detain. And I want to remind you that Israel is arbitrarily arresting military-aged men in Gaza, and that most of these detainees are released, even at camps like Steve Taman. But they still get pissed on by the IDF's dogs. They still get beat up. They still get their arms amputated. They still have to drink through a straw. They still get sodomized. They still get killed at Steve Taman. Over 24 Palestinian detainees have been killed this year alone. These guys are old Zionists. They don't have value for a Palestinian's life. He's willing to just kill Palestinians they detained, who haven't even been tried. Our last example is Amichai Eliyahu, Israel's Minister of Heritage, who's been pushing for Israel to reoccupy the Sinai Peninsula. Here's something he reposted. It's a t-shirt with an outline of Israel that includes the Sinai Peninsula, and in Hebrew it says occupation now. These three men are all Zionist oppressors. They all hold powerful positions in Israel's government. They all contribute to the oppression, to the ethnic cleansing, and they want the Palestinians to be erased. They would be happy if they were able to achieve that. I hope what I said at the beginning of this video came true, that this made it crystal clear to you, if it wasn't already, that Israel is an oppressor, that Zionism is genocidal, and that supporting them puts you on the wrong side of history. There's no morality in it. These men are Zionism's leaders. Make sure you repost and copy the link on this video so more people hear this message. And if you want to support me, I'm going to college this fall. And if you want to help me out, you can go to my bio. Thank you, and free Palestine.
Oh my.
Okay. Now, the one thing you don't understand is it's not just that these people don't care about Palestinians. See, Israel's getting to do something that the rest of these leaders of the world can't do. They can't just go out there, as I said yesterday, you can't just go out there and start killing people and getting rid of the bulk of the world's population. These Masonic frankly, just demons. They just want to see the world genocided. You, me, we're all just seen in their eyes as taking up unnecessary air and occupying unnecessary space. What Smoldridge, Ben-Gvir, and company are showing in Israel is literally the attitude of congressional senators and political people worldwide. They still have to doctor it up and speak with certain speech. Certain people are, more open and obvious than others. They don't see us as humans. They see us as a workforce. You do our bidding. Okay. This is really revealing, because what Israel's doing is reflecting what the leadership of the West actually truly feel about its citizens, about its population. And it also reflects what some of these Saudi Arabian governments feel and think about their populations. You have to go along with us. We don't owe you anything. I was talking to a guy recently who's a musician, and he's trying to talk about how, taxation, we owe Caesar the things that are Caesar's. And listen, man, you come around me with that fucking baloney and I will slap you. You know what I'm saying? How do you owe anyone anything for being alive on the planet? You came, you're alive. Why do you need to pay out of your work slip anyone? When Jesus said, give unto Caesar the things of Caesar, unto God the things of God, Jesus turned around and told John, we're part of the kingdom. Our kingdom's not even of this world. And if we don't owe God nothing, why do we need to owe them? But he says, for the sake of peace, go in the sea, go get the, you'll see a fish, pull it out of the water, and then it is the gold coin to pay Caesar. In other words, Jesus was saying, for peace sake, go pay Caesar whatever he has. But basically, he was saying, you don't need to pay Caesar shit. You don't even have to pay. You don't pay God nothing. So why is it God's greater than Caesar? Why? And Caesar's supposed to reflect God. Why do I need to pay Caesar anything? Right now, there are certain states in the United States that are cutting income tax. You know what we owe? You know what we owe? We owe, let me tell you how we owe country something, how we can be truly patriotic. It's when we help our fellow citizens, when we help our fellow countrymen, when we help our fellow human beings, forget countrymen, human beings, when we actually are good, give good service to our fellow man. That's what it's all about. As a kingdom dweller, I know this taxation thing is bullshit. Especially income tax. It's so unnecessary. There's all kinds of taxes, purchasing taxes, all kinds of taxes. When I hear assholes try to say, I hate to say it like this, but I'm going to say it how I'm going to say it. It's going to come out the way it comes out. When I hear people trying to make a case for taxation, I look at them and I say to myself, are you crazy? Are you mad? So I earn my wages. I work for somebody. I earn my wages. Let's say it's private sector, right? I work for my money. I earn my wages. If you do a job for someone, you're building a house or whatever, right? You finish building the house. They pay you. They don't say after they pay you, but I'm going to take back some of this money. No, that's bad business. So why the fuck the government... You work for the government, and they can take back some of the money that they say, this is your salary, but we're going to take out this amount of money from your salary. They're not supposed to do that. Or you need to pay back 30, whatever earnings you have to pay back 30% back to the government. That's wrong. That's stealing money that you paid someone. You say you're compensating them for their services, and then you're taking back some of that money. You present the money, this amount, but that's not what they're getting when they go home. That is stealing. They already pay other taxes on all kinds of things. Why are you taxing them again? There were countries, I never forget this, countries that oppress their people by taxing them on everything. That's wrong. I have a few other things to say, and then I'm done. Senator Tammy Baldwin just walked out of a student safety hearing, yet said nothing about students being abducted for speaking out against genocide. This is dystopian. This is shameful. Where are our elected officials when students are being snatched for using their voices? And now I'm going to show you the footage because this does not make major media. And Medea Benjamin, almost media, I guess I could call her Media Benjamin. She basically covers things that are not covered, and she's always in Washington, D.C. And man, I love her. This Jew says to genocide, no to genocide in Gaza. And she's even wearing a keffiyeh. All right, here we go.
You see what happened to that the Turkish woman who was just picked up on the street? I mean, I don't know why you don't talk to me anymore. But Mahmoud Khalil, his name was mentioned once in that entire hearing, and yet nothing else about these students who are being picked up on the street. Tufts University, a Turkish woman, picked up and kidnapped. I mean, these people are being disappeared. We don't even know in what facilities they're being held. Georgetown University, PhD student, being picked up. I mean, this is dystopian stuff. We gotta go vote, but we'll follow up with you for this. We wish you would just say something. God. This is Tammy Baldwin, a senator who is in the state of Wisconsin, where there are huge universities all over the place. And she used to be somebody who defended free speech. And now you see, she doesn't even talk when we're asking her to defend these students who are being kidnapped, hijacked in the street and taken to undisclosed locations. It takes us 48 hours, sometimes even more, to find out where these students are. That is dystopian, and we need senators like her to speak out, to shout out, to demand that end.
And Medina, what kind of hearing was she just walking out of? A student safety one, correct?
This is one about student safety, and they're worried about these Jewish students feeling uncomfortable. What about the students who have spoken out against a genocide, who are being kidnapped, who are being snatched up on the street?
Yeah.
And I didn't hear a word in that entire hearing about that. It's disgusting.
Shameful.
You see what happened to the Turkish?
And it's disgusting that the Democrats are so silent while all this is going on, because they're bought out by Israel, and some of the policies that are carried out right now in an extended way are actually their policies under the Biden administration. So they both see eye to eye on this tyranny that's going on and this nonsense that's going on. And you really think you're going to shut up the students and they're going to be intimidated by you? Fuck out of here. Creeps. We're in a time where fitan and temptation surround you, even in your bed. It's time for you to either lose or win. If you prevent yourself from your lust and temptations, there's a big permanent win in the hereafter that gets you all you want. If you busk yourself in this temporary illegal joy, you will prevail from the biggest win. In the first is a sense of sweetness that floods through your heart. In the latter, guilt and shame that will chase you forever. Put that as your eternal reminder until your last breath. He's speaking to the people, but also he's speaking to us. And again, this is something that I truly believe as a Christian, and he is a Muslim. And that is, when temptations surround you, you either overcome them or you lose to them. You either give up yourself to your lust, or you overcome those lusts and you're able to have joy. And so that's the same thing we believe as Christians. And a lot of people have given into their lust, their greed for money and for secrecy and silence. And you can see they're all Masonic because they all of a sudden are silent. They can get paid off. I was talking to somebody yesterday about, a lady who was murdered in my country for pursuing the 1% and holding them accountable for some very, very bad things that happened in the country. And she was assassinated. So was the gentleman who was assassinated for pursuing the same thing. And all I can say to you is, I prefer to be assassinated for doing the right thing than to live the rest of my life serving Satan. I'm just telling y'all right now. Resonance says this video is 35 years old. American activist Kwame Ture. Now, first of all, Kwame Ture was a Trinidadian like myself, and he was, they had he couldn't return to Trinidad, but he was an integral player in the Black Power movement. So let's listen.
And through terrorism was a man by the name of Theodor Herzl, H-E-R-Z-L. He was the founder of Zionism. He said that was a man by the name of Theodor Herzl, H-E-R-Z-L. He was the founder of Zionism. He said that he was going to find the state that God promised the Jews. Listen to this very carefully. This man, Herzl, was an atheist. He believed that there was no God. He said God did not exist. Now, how is it that a man who believes that God does not exist is going to find a state that God promised to his chosen people? I tell you, this man is Satan in disguise. Zionism is a satanic movement. It is devil. It is imperialism. It is racist. It has gone and taken the lands of the Palestinian people and through terrorism has driven them out. And through terrorism, it maintains its power. And the United States of America, with over 6 million homeless, sends to Israel billions and billions and billions of dollars everywhere to bomb Palestinian people while homeless people are here and unemployed are here. Zionism is going to raise this war and make the people in America become clear to what it is and become anti-Zionist and stop the aid to Israel and use the money to take care of the homeless in this country.
Israel has a right to try and target.
Oh, by the way, you know why this Senator Tammy Baldwin isn't saying anything? Because she doesn't give a fuck about the people. These people are bought off. They don't care about the people. They don't care about the people. They're just like Ben Gvir. They're just like Smotrich in Israel. That's what I'm trying to. It's now becoming obvious. It's now being exposed. And again, where's CNN? Where's Fox News? Where's CNBC? CNBC? Where's NBC? Where's ABC? Where are these supposed major stations covering this? Hamas has only 20,000 members, so why has Israel destroyed the homes of 2 million citizens? Every hospital, school, university, and refugee camp. Americans, even if you don't care about Gaza, our First Amendment is being stolen. Freedom of speech must include the freedom to speak against genocide. Shout out to him. All right, this is the last video I'm going to do.
Strip and perform humiliating acts in front of soldiers. Female Israeli occupation soldiers are sexually assaulting Palestinian women. Female Israeli occupation soldiers are sexually assaulting and raping Palestinian women and men. According to a testimony by the Women's Center for Legal Aid and Counseling, a Palestinian NGO that was testifying in front of the UN Commission, the United Nations Commission, rape was mainly done by Israeli female soldiers inserting objects into the genitalia of detainees. We have also documented a case of gang rape by 2 different soldiers twice on a woman in a detention center. She said she was filmed during the assaults. Has been rampant sexual assault at checkpoints, during home invasions where women were forced to strip and perform humiliating acts in front of soldiers. There is also an issue of a lack of knowledge and a lack of legal definition, making it hard for the women to identify themselves what is happening to them. They don't even have the language to identify the assault that they are fucking experiencing. We have women telling us that inspection devices were inserted inside them without being able to identify that as rape or sexual violence. This testimony comes literal days after a report by the United Nations on Israel's systemic use of sexual, reproductive, and other forms of gender-based violence. And it is literally titled, More Than a Human Can Bear. Their choice of using gender-based violence against Palestinians is part of a broader effort to undermine their right to self-determination, and it is them carrying out genocidal acts through the systematic destruction of sexual and reproductive healthcare facilities. That is according to the fucking United Nations. The United Nations is saying this. Women and girls in Gaza are dying every single day from complications related to pregnancy and childbirth due to the complications imposed by Israeli authorities. They have denied them access to reproductive health care, which in and of itself is a crime against humanity. Have destroyed sexual and reproductive health care amounting to 2 categories of genocidal acts in the Rome Statute and the Genocide Convention. They have deliberately targeted reproductive health care facilities, maternity wards, IV clinics, and combined with the use of starvation as a method of war. All of this impacts reproduction. All of that is a genocidal act.
TikTok's still up and popping, baby. Okay, here we go. It's the last one.
Vegan utopia. Yesterday, in the middle of the night, settlers came and put dead goat calves into the water supply of a Palestinian village in Masafriata called Adirat, poisoning the water and endangering their livestock. As always, this is not an isolated incident, and this strategy is used throughout the West Bank by the settler movement and has in the past been used by the Israeli army itself. This is why tactics like greenwashing are so harmful when people purposely paint Israel as some sort of environmental vegan utopia, all while glossing over the fact that Israel and the settler movement systemically endanger the environment, attack Palestinian crops, and kill their livestock. This also shows how thorough the mechanisms of Palestinian oppression are. If they're not attacking Palestinians, they're attacking their crops and olive trees. If they're not attacking their crops and olive trees, they're attacking their livestock. They're very good at using the diversity of tactics, and that's why we have to too. So,
my brother just got out of a 7-day prison sentence for wishing the painful demise of 2 satanic evil bastards on this earth. That boy happened to be friends of this platform's fairly powerful owner. I think that there's no way to say this, but it's very satanic what's happening. It's very evil. There's no 2 words about it. It's anti-human. You'll hear me use that term a lot from here on in, and therefore it's evil. It's also anti-environment. It's anti-everything that has to do with balance, peace, equity. When they cry peace, peace, sudden destruction cometh. So I'm just saying, man. Stanley Ipkiss says, I'm very much looking forward to seeing these articles in the future. Snyder fans have been right all along. Snyder helped make $4.9 billion while he was at DC. Zack Snyder Dust Justice League crashed his servers, broke streaming records, deemed a global phenomenon by Warner Brothers media president. Restore the Snyderverse. He just is projecting into the future, which is very nice. Again, faith causes you to do things like that. He thinks that maybe Warner Bros. Will be bought over by Universal Studios, maybe. And he thinks that Zack Snyder Justice League 2 will pass $1 billion in box office once it goes out there, which is really great. You guys can watch the details maybe later on of his projected future article, which is pretty interesting. Pepe Escobar says, Northeast Yemen, nighttime at the Sada Suk People's Setcom is bombing. He's got a steady job as a sandal fixer to support his daughter. These are the Yemenis, by the way. And as you can see, they're black people. I don't say brown people, but they're black people. They're like Afrikaans. Yemen and Oman are black people. I just thought I'd share that with you guys. I have said enough. I could say a lot more, but that's where we're going to wrap it up for today. God be with you guys. Peace to all. I love you. And I hope that we can see a free Palestine very soon. Sooner than later. Israel is collapsing. There's a lot more I could talk about Israel and what's happening inside there. And Israelis' minds are being changed. As with anything, once a war goes on long enough, the people who are in the country that's administrating the war, they realize it's pointless. It's evil. It needs to end. And so will it happen also in Israel. I'll see you guys later. I am Christ I am disciple. God bless you all.